Hey guys, welcome back to Stuff and Things for your daily dose of nerd news. On today's episode, we got some more dinosaur news, which is always the best. And after that, turns out overworking doctors is perfectly fine. No harm done. So first up, nothing better than dinosaur news to end up the week. The newly discovered Lithorax argestris is an ancestor of the T-Rex. It ruled 10 million years before it, but also had a lot of similar features you see in the T-Rex. You know, the weird snub nose thing it's got going on. Super massive thing, 9 meters long. And it also had forward-facing eyes. It had overlapping vision, so it did have that wonderful binocular vision that made it the top predator of its time, similar to the T-Rex. This find is among many that are being unearthed in Utah, and with many of the species they're discovering in that area being around the same time periods, they seem to be coexisting even though they're of similar, like the same branches. Like a bunch of different versions of the T-Rex and its kin discovered around, for some reason, living at the same time, which is quite bizarre. The theory to explain this is basically just involves sea levels. The idea is that with the rising sea level, you created these mini ecosystems where the branching off the different species could evolve in their own little special ways and fill their own little special niches. So you end up getting a bunch of different versions of T-Rex just strewn throughout everywhere, which is absolutely terrifying because that thing was... But what this really means is, you know, this is another dinosaur we're going to see in Jurassic Park. And moving along, when major surgery is required, you want to make sure the doctor operating on you, spilling your guts open, is at his or her best. And that means getting a good night's rest. Or does it? According to a study that looked at over 10,000 gallbladder removal surgeries, there seems to be no actual difference in doctor's performance, whether they were, had a full night's sleep or they had to rush in and do an emergency surgery. The study specifically looked at instances where the doctors switched techniques mid-surgery, which would be indicative of some sort of mistake or error or complication happening during the surgery. And they found that, there was no sort of increase in it. Now, this isn't really any sort of great testing. This isn't some sort of double-blind study or anything. This is just simply observing results. So it's not quite the whole airtight cause and effect that we see from other kinds of studies. And of course, there's obviously in these kind of things, there's some sort of political agenda going on, since there is an increase in push for legislation to have decreased doctors' hours and residents' hours being marked down so that they can, be more productive and everything like that. Of course, there's things that are into that. You could just end up seeing higher health costs increased. I mean, if doctors can only work for so long, that means we have to hire more doctors, and there's areas, and then doctors are stripped from areas that need them, and it's a very touchy area, and I really don't know if it even needs further legislation. I mean, we do have that kind of legislation in all types of other fields. Like, you can't make me work at my job for longer than a certain amount of time, but that's just to protect the average worker. Doctors are, special breed, really. Not quite sure where I stand on this, but the evidence does seem to support that doctors know what they're doing and that they can work under that extra pressure, which is kind of why they become a doctor in the first place. But I'd love to know your guys' opinion on that specifically, if there is a need for increased legislation in regards to doctors, if we need to curb their hours like they did over in Europe, which has its own side effects. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And of course, if you like what you see, do not forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons wherever they happen to be, and we'll check you in the next video.